Yes. Yes.
No.
You vote or you gonna stay there?
Okay.
You gonna move over or you gonna stay there?
You gonna call them?
She said,
You not gonna call them?
they usually do it. Come over here too. Blessings, blessings. Hey ma. Hey sis, how are you? Trying to gather ourselves here. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Thanks to all of you who have joined in so far, who have jumped right on. We haven't been here in about 2 weeks, and we left off with a very important conversation about mental illness. And we said mental illness in me, but technically is mental illness and the church. Mental illness, me, and the church, because it's a reality. Most of the people in our lives at this point, for those of us who love God and call him our Lord and Savior, we are in church and we dealing with some stuff that people have no clue about, and we are ashamed of it, some of us, because of, unfortunately, the way the church deals with finding out people's idiosyncrasies. We rather not say anything. And it's sad that that's how a person has to feel concerning Haiti, concerning themselves in the church, because the church is supposed to be the hospital, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I grew up. They said the church was the hospital. So I feel like no matter what church you go to, you're in the emergency room. And so you're supposed to properly triage people and find out exactly what's going on so you know how you can help them, if you can help them. So, it's a lot. Sorry, y'all, trying to find my notes. But yeah, so that's what we've been talking about. We had a very interactive conversation a few weeks ago concerning this, because most people just don't seem to realize that there are other people dealing with the same thing. And, some people just don't know how to address it, don't know how people are going to look at them. And so, therefore, they, you know, um, resolve with dying softly. You're silent and you're soft. You're just losing a part of yourself every moment of every day. And nobody around you seems to notice the difference, or seems to notice the lack or the change in your personality, or just little things. People, rather than investigate on a real basis to find out how someone is doing, it's just easier to assume, speculate, and then run your mouth about what you don't know. I used to, when I was in the workforce, I would say to people, when they come in and they're having a bad day, you got to be careful, because just like you're having a bad day, just like you went through something, you got to be careful, because the person who you're, lashing out at could have had the same kind of day, and there's no telling how they're going to respond or react to you. So we want to be mindful when we're dealing with people. Uh, you're working with people on a regular basis. You don't know what kind of disorders they live with every day. You don't, because when you come to work, you don't just come in and say, hey, what kind of sickness do you have? You just, introduce yourself, and over time, you get to halfway know who that person is. You still don't know all of them, because they're only going to let you know specific things. They're going to make sure they go out of their way to make sure you don't have any inkling of. I said that like 2 weeks ago. They're just not going to let you into that degree, and it's because most of them have either been hurt by someone after they shared, or is just that ashamed of telling somebody that this is what's wrong with me, because you think people are going to see. And so you got to take that risk, right?
Oh, I'm using it tonight in the wash line.
So we just want to be careful how we handle people. We want to be careful how we interact with people. Don't assume just because somebody shows up and is in the same place that you're in physically, meaning workplace, church, the store. Just don't assume that everybody else is having a good day while you're having a bad day, and so you just get to act like you want to act. No, some people are smiling on top of pain, and you have to be careful how you deal with them, how you handle them, how you even walk up on them. I tell people all the time, announce yourself. Don't just walk up on me because I start swinging. For real, I do, because I'm not expecting that to be there. So if you're not saying, hey, hey, Apostle, or hey, Sugar, or hey, Nita, something, to acknowledge that I know you as you're approaching, chances are I might, respond a different way. So we've been dealing with mental illness, and some of the illnesses we mentioned last week, 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Because this will be the third week. We talked about bipolar disorder, anxiety disorder, the different levels of depression. We talked about schizophrenia. These people are sitting next to us on our job, sitting next to us on the bus, sitting next to us on the train, sitting next to us in church, singing on the choir with us, preaching to us, and they're living with these mental disorders, and they don't want anybody else to know. And so a lot of times when that is the case, they tend to put the light on somebody else's issue so that nobody has time to focus on theirs. They go out their way, to point out different things in someone else so that nobody considers them in being in that same place. I did not know before schooling and before having to seek out help for myself that some of the things that I was dealing with was classified as a mental disorder. You just go because you're feeling some kind of way. You go talk to the counselors on the job and stuff, and people tell you that you're seeking help, and then you go to look at for me, you go look in your my chart, or you go look somewhere and they done diagnose you, and you got all of these things wrong with you, and they want to put you on all these different medications. Something that as far as my mental state, pain, my mental state, no. And so there are people who are living with real issues. People who feel like everybody's out to get them. And then there are people who cannot control their emotion or their physical abilities. And so you might see them acting like this at 2:30, and at 5:30 you see somebody else and you wonder, well, what did you miss? And this person is living with bipolar disorder. You are talking to somebody, and you're trying to express something or show something or share something, and they seem to be wandering off, and you don't know that they have ADD or ADHD. You just feel like they're just ignoring you, or they don't feel like what you're saying is worth anything. And so, we have to try to be sensitive enough to understand that we are not the only ones going through stuff. We have to try to be empathetic and not just be ready to slap somebody when they do something or say something that you feel is out of the way. You have no idea what they were dealing with before you and them interacted. And so you might want to investigate. For some of us, sometimes it's a little too late. Somebody does something and your knee-jerk reaction is just to react. And sometimes it's in words, sometimes it's in physicality, and then you find yourself having to apologize when all you had to do was step back and evaluate. um, there are some people who, like I said, are living with illnesses that make them believe that everybody around them is out to get them. Those who are living with a type of schizophrenia, where they feel like you're out to get them. You're trying to do harm. You just want to move them out the way. There's something. No matter what you say, they're hearing something totally different because in their mindset, blessings, prophetess, in their mindset, everybody's out to get them. Everybody's out to harm them. They don't just, and if you're showing them something other than negativity, then they think something's wrong because, they just so used to their environment being different from what you're presenting to them. You have people who are dealing with anxiety disorder and panic attacks. Can't handle social settings without hyperventilating or becoming speechless because in their mind and they're coming around you and they just prepared in their mindset. They're prepared for what they're getting ready to do, and then they get before the people and they just panic. They lose words. They start sweating. They start breathing fast. Some people pass out. People are living with real life disorders, and most people don't like to associate the word mental with it, but it is because it's dealing with your mind. So it's mental. It's dealing with your brain activity. It's mental. When you're in school, or those of us who have been in the medical field for a lot of our working years, you find out that everything starts there. In your mind, it is conceived, and through your heart and other actions, you bring it to pass. So we have to be careful what we say, how we say it, when we say it. And in this day and time, I'm learning more and more each day that less people are doing that. They just feel like I'm grown enough and I can say whatever I want to say, or what you gonna do about it, and for me, thank God for growth. I wait to see what God has to say about it. I don't try to fight my own battles anymore because that's a lot of extra energy and I'm already trying to get it together. So yeah, mental illness and me. Mental illness and me. And that me is whoever you are. Whoever you are, and you're dealing with anxiety, anybody who has had any kind of molestation or rape, PTSD, people who have been in the military, PTSD. You find like they shoot a firecracker outside and they immediately, lose who they are for a moment, and they're ready to harm because they want to protect. And you have to try to talk them down, help them to understand that that's not what's going on. PTSD is a real diagnosis. People talk about it lightly, but it's a real diagnosis. There are some things that set off triggers that make you respond or react in a way that you just normally wouldn't if that thing hadn't happened. If something that you were used to didn't start to manifest itself. Yes, I tell people all the time that everything similar is not the same. But for those who are dealing with PTSD, they got to graduate to that place. Their natural reaction is to respond to what they know. And what they know is what they've experienced. And if what they experienced was negative, then what they're responding to is not even you. It is that thing that they saw as negative as what happened to them in their past. Um, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that everybody has their own little thing that they're dealing with. Yes, some people have mastered malfunction. They've actually mastered it. Like you just would never think that these people had anything that ever went wrong in their lives because they've always got a smile. They've always got something positive to say. They're always trying to walk you through something. They're always, and then, something tragic has to happen for all of that to be manifested. And so here we are in church, and we're ministering to a people who look like everything is okay except for a normal heartache, when in essence they have that heartache, they have that disappointment on top of abandonment, on top of anxiety, on top of ODD, on top of autism, their special needs, different things that cause them learning disorders even. You know, there are many preachers who have learning disabilities, and they're ashamed to let anybody know. They rather than let you know that they can't read, they'll always ask someone else to read. Or if they can't pronounce something or whatever, they go to something else that would cause you to have to say what they wanted to say to you. There are people who are ministering, and they are God's anointed, but they do have these idiosyncrasies because things weren't always made available when we were growing up, to help us to keep it under, you know, for lack of better wording, under wraps. There was no specific medication that you could take that would allow you to still function. You took that medication, you were in a crisis center somewhere, chained to a bed, because they scared you going to get up. Like, they always went to the far extreme. But there are people who are living with us, our loved ones. We're married to people with mental disorders, and we haven't even figured it out yet. Because this person mastered malfunctioning so well that they were able to make you believe that what you see is what you get, until you're in that marriage and different things start to manifest, and you be like, where did this come from? Sometimes you even begin to blame yourself because, well, this isn't who I was dating. This isn't who showed up when we were going out. So where did it come from? What did I miss? And so we have to learn how to be sensitive enough, especially in the church, sensitive enough to realize that everybody walking through the door with a smile is not well. Just because I walk in and greet you with a smile does not mean everything is all right with me. We had a session on Loving to Me I See one time where we said, I'm not okay, but I'll be all right. We have to learn to, we've been taught so many years to not allow anyone to know when you're hurting, not allow anyone to know when they're bothering you. We've mastered that so much so that even when we want to say how we really feel, we still find ourselves saying, all is well, or I'm good. I just, have come to the place where I had to stop saying that, because I would always say, all is well, all is well. And then when something comes up and it's not an all is well situation, people are like, but I thought you said, and it's because you've been trained not to put what you're going through on somebody else. So you're stuck with carrying it alone.
And we don't have to.
We don't have to.
Most people, you try to be there for them, and they're so used to saying it's well, or I'm okay, or I'm all right, till they don't leave that opportunity for you to minister to them, or for you to pray for them, or for you to pray for their family. But what happens when you have someone in your family that is mental, and you're trying to deal with them and find peace without snapping or going crazy or losing it, for lack of better words? How do you deal with that aspect?
Well, it's not easy, and I'm not going to act like it is. I'm not going to act like it is at all. But it is, I guess, having worked with autistic children for 6 or more years, you learn how to be more empathetic. You learn how to read what can't be spoken, because not everybody with autism, depending on the spectrum that they're on, some of them can talk, a lot of them can't. And you have to learn their nonverbal communication. You have to learn what they do when they're trying to get a message across. And you have to be, it takes somebody with a heart. Just, you got to have a heart for the people, whether it be God's people, whether it be the people on your job, whether it be the man walking down the street, because according to the Bible, that's your neighbor. And you're supposed to treat your neighbor as you treat yourself. You're supposed to love your neighbor as you love yourself, and it's been said more than once in the Bible that that's how you're supposed to handle people. And so um, you have to get to a place, for me, excuse me, y'all, keep talking.
So, dealing with mental
Good
disorders,
evening.
we have to be in a place where we are able to still function when those around us are not able to function.
Yes, and I told them on Wednesday,
So
I have
this
the
is a
Loving in
good
Me I
time.
See, so I'm usually going there by 10 o'clock. I do my Loving in Me I See live
She
on
has
Wednesday
another
nights.
phone call, so she's better at talking when this stuff.
Every
than I
time that
am.
I've done it, I've had Loving in Me I See. That's why I come on around 10 o'clock.
I'm not good with talking.
I told him, I as usual, I have my Loving in Me I See. He said, okay.
She'll be right back with you guys in a second.
Oh, see, I'm not used to him being off so early. All right.
She's probably going to resume.
All right, so give me about 10 minutes. Oh.
Yeah, because I didn't know what to say. You were talking so good, I got lost.
So sorry guys. Forgot I was supposed to minister somewhere else. So when you are
It's been 10 minutes.
in an area, you're gonna have to talk to them while I do this because it won't take long.
I was going to say it's going to hear both of us.
Hmm?
It's going to hear both of us.
Guys, I apologize. I think most times we have to develop patience. I know for me, I need to work on redeveloping my patience. Okay. All right. So yeah. So I'm sorry. I think I'm gonna end up having to sign off and sign back on. I have to go and minister for a conference call of the Black clergy, the interfaith clergy. You can stay on and continue to talk if you like. It won't take me long because she said they're done by 10. So I gotta hurry up and sign on. So I'm going to excuse myself. My bestie is going to continue the conversation until I come back so that we don't have to inconvenience you because of my error. So I'm going to go and remove myself and go to the other room, and my bestie can talk as best as possible, and I'll be right back. All right? Well, not right back, 10 minutes. Talk to you soon.
Hello, everyone. So I'm going to try to do this, okay? This is not my field. It's not prophetic class. So
You'll be all right.
I'm going to try to talk as much as I can so that she can go and do her 10-minute word for the people. Hopefully they'll still be there when she get there.
Oh God.
How's everyone evening so far? So Apostle was talking about anxiety, mood disorder. We're going to go over a few definitions of some of these things because some of us might not even be aware that we are struggling with mental disorders. Um, some of us may feel like, oh, this is just normal that I'm tired or that I'm moody or everything gets on my nerves or I feel like my days just are so short. And I come to find out some of these mental disorders that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, 1 out of 8 people deal with these disorders. 1 out of 8 people in the day deal with these type of mental disorders. Um, Mental disorders are sometimes it doesn't have to be something you're born with. It comes as time go on with the cares of life, the things that have happened to us in our life. Some of us are dealing with some issues. Some of us dealing with the loss of a loved one, and it causes us to have all of these different types of mental disorders, and we just don't know how to deal with them. I feel like counseling is a good outlet for us. Counseling is an essential. They say that we don't need it, but I feel like counseling can help. Just somebody else to talk to, somebody that don't know you, somebody that's not familiar with you. Go and get you some counseling. Let them talk to you. Let them see. Counseling is good too, especially if you deal with children that has mental disorders, or that go through mood swings, or children that's bipolar, or whatever the case may be. Counseling can help you learn how to deal with them, not so much for you, but just know how to deal with them so you won't choke them, so you won't choke them out. Because some of us as parents be like, I can't deal with this, I can't take this, especially if you have a child that's artistic, that can't talk that much, and you're trying to figure out what they're saying, so you're becoming frustrated because you can't figure out what's going on. Okay. A mental disorder is characterized by significant disturbance in the individual. Emotional behavior is also associated with distress disorder. Mental disorders may also be referred to as a mental condition. All right, so it can also be referred to as a mental condition. So some of these disorders, I'm just going to read them off, and you may find out, you know what, I suffer from that. So maybe I should go talk to a therapist to see if that's something that I have. All right, so one of the first things we're going to talk about is anxiety. People living with anxiety disorders include 58 million children and adolescents. Did you hear that number? 58 million children and adolescents. Anxiety disorders are characterized by excessive fear and worry related to behavioral disturbance. Symptoms are severe enough to result in significant distress, okay, such as anxiety disorder. Is characterized from worrying. When we worry a lot, we cause ourselves to have anxiety because we don't know what's going to happen the next day. We don't know what's going to happen the next minute. So it causes us to be fearful. It causes us to panic. It causes us to break out in sweats because we're like, oh God, how am I going to get this done? What's going to happen next? Am I going to have a place to live? Are my children going to have something to eat? Am I going to have this money to pay this bill? I got a deadline. All of that is a part of anxiety. And we do it to ourselves because, one, we're not trusting God. We can't leave God out of this, but we have to trust Him even when we are going through our mental disorders. We got to learn how to pray. We got to learn how to give it to God. How many of us have faced this situation and we didn't even know that it was anxiety because we had a deadline and we know that it was coming, and we begin to panic and our hearts start palpitating real fast and we start having sweats? That's called anxiety, and maybe you should seek some help for it to see what you can do um, about it. And another thing that I'm noticing that's taken over, another disorder, is depression. Depression is really taking over our society, because people living with depression um, are just trying to get through everyday life. For some people, just waking up in the morning is a chore. Just getting up. You ever been around somebody where they like everything just black? Everything in their room is just black. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want to get up. They don't want to shower. They don't want to go out. They just rather sleep, 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 sleep. That's something that you need to get checked because that's a sign of depression. You're crying all the time. You're trying to figure out, oh God, why am I here? You want to take your life. All of this stuff is a sign of depression. But the number one thing that I teach and I tell everybody, we have to be willing to confront the issue. We have to be willing to say, you know what? I have an issue and I need help. We first got to admit that we have a problem. Every time I rush or try and hurry up to get something done, I start to get anxiety, or if I do something wrong. Yes, that will cause you to have anxiety, trying to hurry up and get it done because you're panicking. You're in a rush to try to make sure that it's done. So that is definitely one of the signs of anxiety disorder. and depression. Bipolar disorder. Bipolar people, it says over 40 million people experience bipolar disorder. People with bipolar disorders experiencing alternating, it goes back to depression episodes with epic or main symptoms. During a depressive episode, the person experiencing depression mode feeling sad, irritated, you can feel empty, you can feel like nobody cares about you, which is not true. We're just going through that because we are suffering from um that disorder, and it is real. Bipolar disorder is a real thing. You're happy one minute, then the next minute you're sad, you're crying, you don't know what's wrong, you don't know. I was just happy 10 minutes ago, and now all of a sudden I want to kill the world. I don't want to be around here no more. I don't want to do this no more. That is a sign that you are suffering from bipolar disorder, or you like me today, and then tomorrow you can't stand me for 2 days, and then on the third day I want to be your friend again. That's that has something to do with the bipolar disorder, and you may not even mean it. You may not even feel like, you know what, I don't know why I'm treating this person this way, because I really love this person. I don't mean to do this to them. I don't mean to treat them this way. But when you have that bipolar disorder, you have no control over how you treat people or how you handle situations or how things happen in your life, because you suffer from that bipolar disorder. Okay? Post traumatic stress, PTSD, is a mental disorder. It is high in conflict, affected um, a lot of people in our black society, they're saying, are affected by PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder. And it causes you to eat a lot. It causes you to not to want to be involved with people. The same thing as the bipolar disorder. It causes you to have flashbacks or nightmares. And if you get into a relationship with someone and you haven't dealt with your PTSD, most of the time the person that you're in a relationship with is going to suffer from that PTSD. So you want to make sure that when you get in a relationship with somebody, that you are healed, that you are whole, that none of this stuff is a part of your life, because you will hurt somebody else trying to save yourself, and everything that looks similar is not the same. Apostle tell us that all the time. So my husband can say one word that somebody that hurt me say, and I automatically revert back to what was done to me. That's called PTSD. Or I can't move forward in a relationship with somebody because every time I try to move forward, it feels like, or it seems like, they're doing the same thing to me. Not all the time is the case. Excuse me. We are really suffering from PTSD, and there is medication that can help you deal with the PTSD that you're dealing with. All of these symptoms, there is some type of medication, and not that we encourage medication, but sometimes you need it to help alter how you feel, to get your mood back into to swing, to get your balance back going, to get your life back in order. It's okay to say, you know what, maybe I need medicine, but PTSD is a real thing. Nightmares of what happened to you, and you jump up and you're sweating, and you're having those night sweats because you dreamed about when somebody molested you, or when somebody raped you, or when somebody caused you harm. That's called PTSD, and that's something that you have to seek counseling for. Okay? Another disorder that you guys probably didn't even know was a disorder, a eating disorder. What is an eating disorder? A eating disorder is when you eat, and you cannot seem to get enough. You know that you're full. You know that you just ate. You know that you just had a healthy meal, but you got to find something to snack on. You got to just keep something in your mouth all the time. This is how we become obese and overweight, because we suffer from the eating disorder, and we don't know that we're suffering from this eating disorder. But that is something that also you can talk to a counselor about. Listen, I know that I'm not hungry, and then I find myself wanting to eat all the time. That is not a good sign. Always wanting to have something in your mouth to snack on, always needing a piece of candy, or always needing, and you already know, I'm trying to lose weight, I don't want to be here, but yet you can't stop eating. So that's called an eating disorder. So a lot of these disorders we didn't even know that we had. um but we really do. And some of us need to seek professional help so that we can get help with our disorders that we're facing. Okay? Not all the time. I want to encourage somebody tonight, because as we're talking about these disorders, I feel like people um feel like it's my fault because have this disorder, or it's my fault because I'm this way, or it's my fault because I'm bipolar. A lot of times it's not your fault. It's no control of your own. It's nothing sometimes that you could do about how you feel. It's just acknowledging that I have this issue, seeing what I could do to get help about this issue, and do the necessary steps that is taken to make sure that this issue doesn't hurt somebody else, or to make sure I don't cause harm to somebody else because I don't know how to deal with this issue. When, some of us, believe it or not, we do eat when we stress. When I stress, I don't like to eat. Who else on here can say that? When I stress, I don't want to eat. I just want to go in my room. I want the day to be gone. I'll be like, throw this day in the garbage because I'm just over it. So when I'm stressing, I don't want to eat. But when you stress, it comes out in your body in different ways. You have headaches. You start, it depends on what the stress level is. So I'm not sure how much more I tried to prolong it. Apostle may come back on. Um, I'm not sure, but that's all I have to say tonight about mental disorder. If anybody have any questions, do anybody have any questions, or you want to say something to encourage somebody else that may be ashamed to say, you know what, I'm facing this disorder, or I'm going through this mental disorder, and I need some help. Guys, get counseling. There's nothing wrong with counseling. Yes, Jesus can fix it. Yes, prayer changes things. Yes, we are able to go to God and tell Him about our issues, but we also need a physical being. We also need somebody else to talk to that can help us get through what we're going through so we won't cause harm to ourselves. All right, so counseling is very important. Um, Seeking therapy is very important. If they say to you, you know what, you may need some medication for this disorder, it's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with seeking wise counsel. So I'm going to end. Um, Pay attention. Apostle may come back on, but I feel that tonight we've talked enough about mental disorders. I went over some of the mental disorders. There are many types of mental disorders. Um, And we just got to be in the place to say, you know what, I have a disorder and I want to seek help. And it's nothing wrong with saying that you have an issue. The church is one of the places where they teach you that you should hide it, you should tell nobody, keep it to yourself, but you can cause more harm than good if you don't seek professional help. So I'm glad that Apostle is taking this time to talk to us about mental disorders, because all of us can benefit from it. All of us have some type of issue where we could go and talk to somebody about it. All right. So have a good night, everyone. I'm going to end for tonight. I'm not sure if Apostle will come back on because she still probably had a few things that she wanted to talk about. So you can look out for it. If not, we will see you on next Wednesday. Have a good night.